Douglas's corner for Giacchetti, who was absent because of some disputes, probably over money, in at least his last fight, and maybe one other. And Douglas looked so bad in that fight while winning a very lackluster decision
against Bourbon.
It was against Bourbon. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. We will eventually.
He's here signing a contract while here, and he didn't have time to
get involved.
Come on out, stop punching.
It seems to me that Buster Douglas wants to get McCall out of there because it's become a tougher fight than was expected. Buster Douglas knows to
Right,
much more an inside fighter as opposed to using his left jab and punch that he specializes.
Yeah, but in becoming so aggressive, Ray, he's giving McCall a chance to counter, and McCall has tagged him a couple times inside with counter punches.
Well, that's normally the case, Jim, when you're tired. You resort more so to fight inside as opposed to moving.
Now, Larry, can we take Giacchetti's return to Douglas's corner as an indication that Rich has given up any chance of becoming Mike Tyson's trainer?
Well, you know, if you're around this game long enough, so many changes happen that nothing is impossible. There was a time when he appeared to be the front runner to replace Kevin Rooney, but Tyson didn't want him. He wanted somebody who was familiar with his style and with somebody who came down in the line from Customato, and so he rejected the Giacchetti, who has worked with several of Don King's fighters, and of course best known for his work with Larry Holmes.
Right now, Oliver McCall is making a little bit of a name for himself as he continues to give Buster Douglas trouble in round number 4.
Has been left in these 4 rounds that neither of these fellows can fight a lick.
40 points on Harold Letterman's scorecard so far. Perhaps on his way to a Letterman shutout. And round 5 begins. Buster Douglas in white, Oliver McCall in black and red. And of course, Ray Leonard, what Buster would really like here is an impressive knockdown, particularly since Rebalta struggled in the preceding bout.
Well, what Douglas would like to see actually is that McCall accommodate him and then allow him to knock him out. But with McCall, he needs to be a little bit more aggressive because being the smaller man, the shorter man, he needs to be inside as opposed to trying to box Douglas from the outside, because you see what's happening here is Douglas is just using his left jab, getting closer, and trying to set him up for that right hand.
Between rounds, Rich Giacchetti told Douglas that he wasn't waiting enough on his punching opportunities.
A lot of times, fighters have a tendency, and I'm no exception, to wait for one big punch. But the key in boxing is to set each punch up, because a knockout just doesn't happen. You need to set it up. The left jab is the key punch, the key weapon for a boxer.
And now you see Douglas working behind the left jab, 2 at a time. Now a third one that gets in solidly, and he's beginning to assert clear dominance over McCall midway through round 5.
Well, you'll notice also that Douglas, as long as he uses his left jab, he's able to score very well. When he resorts to fighting inside, then it becomes susceptible to be hit and countered by McCall.
McCall firing wildly, but he did land one solid body punch as he backed away from Douglas. Douglas alternately working behind the jab or just leaning on McCall with that big body, 246 pounds.
He's weighed as little as 225, and I don't know if they want him as beefy as this for a purpose.
You notice McCall is just waiting for Douglas to throw a punch. And a lot of times, Douglas doesn't take advantage of the opportunity. You see McCall's hands are starting to drop to his side. His punches are more telegraphed now, more lounging, more roundhouse punches as opposed to straight shots to get the proper leverage.
Right.
So you may hear the during the rest period that Douglas is going to tell to tell him that his opponent is tired. So pick up the tempo.
There you go.
Indeed, the Tyson camp, when McCall was a sparring partner, loved the 1 or 2 rounds of intense aggression he would throw at the champ. They always said that McCall would begin to wear down in the 3rd round of sparring against Tyson, as most of us would, I'm sure.
I'll say this, comparing Douglas and Ribalta, that Douglas is obviously putting more effort in it. He's obviously trying to make.
Come on now, go to work. Work hard.
I tell you to break. I want you to break when I tell you to break. Box.
Well, you saw the connect percentage for Buster Douglas in that last round, indicating he had landed 69% of his punches. So the jab is becoming increasingly accurate. And McCall gets wilder as Douglas gets more accurate.
Work at it, Aaron.
In round 6.
Work at it. Right, step back, step back. Let him go, let him go.
There is signs of desperation more so in McCall. He's just attempting everything. He's trying to land that lucky punch. And a lot of times that lucky punch doesn't land too often. He needs to establish his jab or basically work inside.
That's why they call them lucky punches.
Right.
If it lands, you're lucky. You know, for a really big man, this is always baffling to people who are new to the sport, right? For a really big man, Buster doesn't have knockout power. He does not seem to be able to hurt a man with one punch.
Don't hold him.
Well, if you notice the way he executes his punches, he comes off of his foot, whereas the power is in the leverage. It's the way you twist your body. It's like a swivel. And a lot of times, these big guys punch is more so arm punches.
Right.
It's in the hip.
The hips, the legs.
It's everything. It's just being down there. Like that's why Tyson is so strong. He gets his hip, his waist, his thighs, his arm.
I think the same thing is true of a guy hitting a baseball or even a tennis ball. It's not how hard you swing. It's how you synchronize getting your whole body into it at the exact right moment.
It's the timing, the velocity of the punch, and the stroke, or what have you. Apparently, some of the heavyweights don't have that.
Now there's a huge
Don't hang on him. Let's go. Work at it.
demonstration of fan enthusiasm on the far side of the ring as some celebrity comes into the arena. And for the moment, we're going to cast our attention completely away from Buster Douglas and Oliver McCall and try to figure out who's coming in. In fact, I, Jim Lapley, am considering standing on my chair in mid-round. Get a glimpse of this, and it is Don and Melanie. Yes, it's Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith, ladies and gentlemen. They are in the arena, so let the festivities begin. Melanie, who has brought a new dignity to the notion of pregnancy. And Don, of course, who has brought new dignity to the notion of the 5 o'clock shadow.
Come on out, come on out, come on out, come on out. Time! Seconds out.
Well, we'll have to defer to a higher authority on that subject.
The tabloids.
Put put it in the pre-fight. Round 7 begins between Oliver McCall and Buster Douglas amid the hoopla surrounding the entrance of Don Johnson, Dennis Hopper.
Come on now. Break! Step back, step back.
A cut on the front of his nose. Yeah, let's see it. Because we are tired of watching Buster Douglas and Oliver McCall.
I want to know one thing. Is he still wearing his sunglasses?
Okay.
Working there, working there. There you go, there you go. Break! Break, let me at it.
Little wake up.
Come on, let's work with it out. Right, step back. Come on, work, work.
The Atomic Bull. AB, Atomic Bull.
Let me have it. Stop
I
playing.
not only have no idea what that means, I have no curiosity to find out.
Break.
It seems to me that when Mike Tyson was fighting, and we often have abbreviated fights, that we're owed, the crowd is owed, really, not us, but the crowd is owed some interesting prelims, some action-filled prelims.
And it seems to me that we haven't been getting them.
In due time. In due time.
Yes, there you go.
Maybe this means we'll get an action-packed main event.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a significant difference in the quality of Don Johnson's seat. Fight the man. Ladies and gentlemen, fight the man. Hey! How you doing, Vince?